And we're back. All right, Dave, let's get into our 2021 Game of the Year nominees. This is actually my favorite part of the show every year. At the end of the year, you pick 5 games, I pick 5 games, and then the first show of the new year, we pick a Game of the Year winner. So, why don't we just alternate, right? We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
What our picks. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
What is your first nominee for Game of the Year of 2021?
My first pick for Game of the Year is Resident Evil Village. All right. Can you all see that? VIII, Resident Evil Village. Right. Multi-platform game. It's part 8 in the series. If you look at the title, you'll see that the V, the I, and the 2 stems of the L are lit up in the 8. They are continuing the trend like they did in 7, which I think is awesome. And continues the story from part 7, where Ethan and his wife go off. Well, Ethan goes to find his wife off in down in the Louisiana bayou, and this one puts him in the middle of Eastern Europe, where he ends up coming across this crazy castle and meets the lady of the house, who is pretty awesome. She won the lady who did the lady who did the voice of Lady Dimitrescu won for best voice actress at the Game Awards, which was awesome, or best voice period. I think. I don't think they split it up male female.
She's really tall in real life too.
Oh yeah. She definitely looks the part if she were to dress up as Lady Dimitrescu, which is awesome. But yeah. She's
right. Listen, I like Resident Evil 8, right? Like I played the demo, and I finished the demo, right? I got to the castle, and it's definitely they sort of sidetrack because Resident Evil is mostly about zombies, right?
Typically, the right? T virus or whatever virus from the Umbrella Corporation,
yeah, and this game was more about werewolves, which I haven't beaten the game, so I don't know what the explanation is, but it's still a little bit weird in my view that we have, we went from zombies to werewolves. But interesting.
It all ties in. It all ties in together. Yeah, the Umbrella is part of the story in a way, and I'll kind of leave it at that. But definitely more actiony than 7, right? I think 7 was a return to form.
And they did that purposely because they said some of the complaints about 7 was it was a little bit too survivor horror-y, right?
Yep.
Like it was not as much action as people wanted it to be.
Sure, yeah, right. Yeah, and 8 certainly gave that to you, yeah.
And I think Resident Evil as a whole sort of skirts that line, right? Like the original games were more survival horror. 4, just I think universally is like thought of as the best Resident Evil game of all time because it gives you that survival horror and it gives you that action, right? Where I like Resident Evil 6 because it's more actiony than anything.
6 is like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie or a Stallone movie. And it's a little too far for me.
But that's what I want, right?
I know.
5. And I like 5 too, but that's what I want more. So
you're gonna end up getting that no matter what they're gonna always shift and go from one end to the other and then back again, which I think is kind of awesome, right? Because eventually you'll get the game that you want, even with all the little side stories and spin-offs and all that. So 8 is good. It also has the mercenary mode in there, which is like a time battle score attack actiony type thing. And you just have to go and beat it in a certain amount of time and keep your combo meter up, which I think is awesome. So
they did say that Resident Evil 9 would complete the new trilogy of the Resident Evil game.
Yep.
So, which will complete maybe the first person view, right? Because it's always been third person in all the other games where this is sort of the departure from that.
Yeah.
So, but I know I didn't beat the game, but I know what happens at the end. So it'd be interesting to see what Resident Evil 9, how that starts. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna pick Guilty Gear Strive, and that's a game that you put
Woo!
me on. You
That's
put
right.
me on to this.
That's
You
right.
did. You did, and I bought it, and it was, I think, was one of the best fighting games of the year, if not the best fighting game of the year.
Hands down the best. Yeah.
I love this game. Like just from the art style, right? I mean, it really, just like I'm gonna say like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, sort of. The art style was sort of like it was an anime cartoon that I can control, right? Like I love that. Like this
made
was
by
awesome.
made by the same studio, I think. Arc System Works.
I think it was the same studio. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't have the game in front of me, but this is a game I want to say, like, I don't really care about the story. I don't know anything about the story of any of the Guilty Gear games. So, and I love story, but
they have a whole
they
have a whole thing where you can see how every character relates to each other, which I think is really cool because there's a lot of weird twisted relationships in there.
I would say this though, the one thing that you had a gripe on that I think made me like this game more than other Guilty Gear games, that they pared down the characters. So you didn't have 30 different characters that you could play as.
Yeah, right? They only had 16 or 15 or 16 or whatever it is.
16 to where sometimes when you have a smorgasbord of characters, right? You're overwhelmed. You don't know which one to pick. Where this one, I felt a little bit more like, all right, like I like these like 4 or 5 characters that I'm always going to pick and sort of perfect their moveset, right?
Right. Considering it's your first entry into the Guilty Gear universe, I can see that.
Second.
Oh, you're second. Oh, okay. Okay.
I have about 6 Guilty Gear games, but this is my second Guilty Gear game that I really jumped into.
Yeah.
And you cannot play this. You cannot play any of the Guilty Gear games like a Street Fighter game because it won't work. You'll get your ass handed to you.
It's a completely different system, yeah.
Completely different system, completely different mechanics. And I had sort of my 5 characters that I loved that I wanted to perfect. And just that art style and the mechanics and learning mechanics. And I know about the story, but the story, funny enough, the story did nothing for me because I know nothing about this universe. It was all about the art style and the gameplay for me.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's beautiful. Like it's a 3D game that looks like a 2D anime. Right? It's not entirely cel shaded, but it does have like a look that, I mean, it looks like a beautiful anime. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They do such a good job with it.
One of the best polished fighting games I've ever played in my life. So, all right. So what's your next pick?
Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. It's been...
You're doing it. You're doing it.
It's the first time I think that we've nominated for Game of the Year. Even like Game of the Half Year, where there's like not a lot of games that come out, and you kind of, well, it's not a lot of games. I'm gonna choose this game, this particular genre game. I don't think we've ever done a racing game, and I'm putting up Forza Horizon 5 because it is amazing.
Wow.
Right, it's not a racing game; it's a driving game, like Dan likes to always say. Because you get a beautiful slice of Mexico to ride around in, and it's free roaming, right? There is a story, there is a big competition that you have to compete in. Well, you don't have to necessarily, but you can, and you can kind of progress the story and open up extra stuff and all that. Or you can just go off road and ride the countryside and fly over hilltops and mountains and go up to the volcano and fly off. I mean, it's amazing. You can buy property in the game.
Mostly what I do.
So much fun. And not to mention, they brought it back from Horizon 4, and I think it was also in 3. But the Warthog from Halo is in the game as a drivable vehicle from AMG, American Motor Generals or something like that. American Motorsport General.
I just want to say, all Forza games, Horizon and Motorsport, should have a Warthog in the game. It should. It's automatic. It should just be automatic. Good.
And they had it in 4. I haven't gotten the Warthog yet, but they had a mission in 4 where you rode down the kind of the coast, and they were like playing the Halo music, right? They were playing the Master Chief theme, and I think they even had little like jackals pop up around the sides, and they put like the little Covenant bunkers up. Oh, it was so good.
Nice.
It was so good.
Okay.
I love it.
It is a driving game, and I think so. This is the first time you've nominated a racing / driving game.
Right.
And Guilty Gear, I think, is the first time we nominated a fighting game. I can't remember. I think.
What about Dragon Ball? I feel like we put Dragon Ball up.
I don't know. We would have to check. We would have to check the records. I don't know if we put that in the Game of the Year. So this could be historic nominees, right? The first fighting. Potentially first fighting and first driving / racing game. And I agree. I thought Forza Horizon 5 was fantastic. I played the hell out of it. And I think I did like 2 races and mostly just drove around the coast of Mexico.
Yeah. And you get just as much enjoyment from that as doing the story missions. Because it's just, so good.
Okay.
So what's your next game, Dan?
So my next game is Life is Strange True Colors.
Nice.
This game, I got to say, was fantastic on the Dave scale. It was phenomenal on the Dan scale. I loved it. It was not as good. I think emotionally, it wasn't as good as the first one, right? You know, I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm going to, for me, I was a nerd growing up.
Yeah.
So the first one hit me emotionally growing up as the nerd, as the outsider in school, right? Because you're still in school, you're in college.
Yep.
In the first one. So being the outsider, the nerd, that hit me emotionally. The second one didn't hit me at all emotionally, right? The story didn't capture me at all either. But True Colors, the third one, really got me. Like, the story was phenomenal. And like another game that we may or may not talk about on this list, it had different elements of other games in it, right? Like you got to play as an RPG in this game.
Oh, yeah.
This game I know these are sort of point and click story style games, right? But, The Walking Dead, Life is Strange 1, or the original Life is Strange, and Life is Strange True Colors are the best sort of style game of these style games I've ever played in my life. And the story really hit me. I really liked the story. And I just love that they mixed up some of the gameplay in different chapters, right? Especially with the RPG. I thought that was just phenomenal. There was a chapter where you're doing half of this chapter was RPG-ish. So I recommend you play this game. I don't know if you played the first Life is Strange game.
I have it, and before
I know you have it.
Yeah,
I know you have it.
You've been telling me ever since we started the podcast you got to play this game, and I keep saying I'm going to get to it, Dan. And I still have yet to get to it.
We're taking a break. We're taking a few week break.
There we go.
Weeks off.
There we go.
You gotta play. I know you don't have this game, but at least play the first game because I know you grew up a nerd. You grew up a nerd. I'm not going to speak for you, but you say you were a nerd in school, a little bit of an outsider. I think from an emotional, that emotional standpoint, that will hit you as it hit me, hopefully, right? But play this third game before you play the second game, because I think the second game isn't as good story-wise as the third game.
Does part 3 reference part 2 at all?
You don't need to play any of the games.
They're all self-contained. Okay.
They're all self-contained.
Okay.
Correct.
Gotcha.
I believe I read somewhere, and I could be wrong, but I think I read somewhere that there's something that connects the universes.
Okay.
Right? And I could have missed it, right? Because I'm so focused on like the current story as it's being told that I probably missed the little nuance that connects the worlds. But in all 3 stories, whatever the protagonist is, you have a superpower for some reason, right? That's unexplained. So take that, I'm trying not to spoil it because I don't want to spoil it for you because I think the story is that good.
I know you're dancing around things that you want to say.
I'm dancing.
I'm glad you're not. It's not for me, Dan. It's for the fans. All right, you don't want to spoil it for the fans. I'll be okay. I'll be okay. So all right.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Kratos is in the game. He's in the game.
Imagine.
He's in the game. Master
That'd be
Chief
awesome.
is in the game too.
Awesome.
Chief is in the game too.
Nice.
But I would recommend you play Life is Strange, the first one, and then Life is Strange: True Colors.
Okay.
So come on, when we come back from episode 300, you got to play Life is Strange. Come on, Dave. Come on.
I'll see what I can do, Dan. I'll see what I can do.
All right. So Dave, what's your next nominee?
Ooh, brand new game. One of the casualties of 2020 was supposed to come out in 2020. Ended up getting pushed till 2021
for
holiday season. That's right. And that game is Deathloop, baby. Love it.
It's kind of weird to say an Xbox first-party game that's a PlayStation exclusive.
For the moment, it'll be coming to Xbox next year. But they bought Arcane Studios, right? That was the studio.
Well, Arcane is a part of
Bethesda. Yeah.
ZeniMax.
Well, ZeniMax at the top of the chain, right? Bethesda.
ZeniMax. Technically, ZeniMax owns Arcane, Bethesda,
right?
All the studios went down. So.
This game was in production before all the talks went down. They agreed. Okay, we're going to put the game out. It's going to be PlayStation exclusive for a timed exclusive now. Eventually coming to Xbox. Game is amazing. If you own a PS5, do yourself a favor, pick this game up. Because they kept showing it, and it kept, everyone kept saying, this game looks really cool. It's got a 1970s aesthetic, and it's a live, die, repeat situation, right? It's just like that. It's just like that Tom Cruise movie that should have been called Live, Die, Repeat, because that makes it so much better. Not whatever the stupid title is, but the one where he keeps dying over and over again until he gets the sequence right. That is this game, except your character has amnesia, which is even better.
He has no idea.
You wake up on a beach. You don't know what's going on. You're like, my head hurts, and you kind of go through and you start figuring out some stuff, and you meet your antagonist. You meet the villain of the story, and okay, and you get a little bit. You still don't know what's going on, and then you die, and you come back to life, and you're like, what happened? And you realize you're in this game loop, and you basically the whole crux of the game. You got to figure out the most optimal way to take out these, I think, 6 or 7 high-value targets before the day ends. And
just Edge of Tomorrow is the name of the movie.
Edge of Tomorrow. It should have been called Live, Die, Repeat. What the hell is Edge of Tomorrow? Stupid.
You're on the edge of tomorrow. You're trying to get to tomorrow. You're on the edge, and you don't get to tomorrow. It's still today.
It's right there at the edge. Now, Live, Die, Repeat. Much better. But Deathloop, an even better name. Fantastic game. African-American protagonist, which I think is great. We don't get to see a lot of that in video games, so good to see representation. And the voice actors, amazing. Top notch.
Well,
love it.
Well, African-American protagonist and sort of female, who so happens to be an African-American female protagonist.
Yep.
Well, antagonist.
Yeah, antagonist. Yeah. So it's great. I have yet to meet the other characters in the game. I'm sure they're just as diverse, but that's kind of really good to see. And it's all wrapped up in an amazing video game. I know some people on this podcast may not be too crazy about the gimmick of the game, but it's very good. It's very good.
I played the first 2 missions, right? Like I killed the first 2 bosses in the game. I just, you could play the game any way you want, but I feel the game was meant to be more of a stealth style game.
You do want to not alert the guards, yeah. Yeah, run and gun is not the best optimal strategy.
It's not the best option, but that's not the style of gameplay I like to play.
I mean, you can do it, but it makes it a little bit tougher because they're all coming at you,
Well, I like to make things tough on myself. I don't like to make things easy. So, all right. Speaking of that, my nomination goes to Halo Infinite.
Of course.
It goes to Halo Infinite. I think Halo Infinite is a fantastic game. I have my gripes. I do have my gripes.
We have gripes, yeah.
You cannot sort of zoom in on the map, right? Like that's
not as far as you would want.
That's a huge gripe that's a huge gripe for me, because sometimes, I want to go to this area and I'm like, it's right there, and it doesn't. I can't see that it's a mountain. I gotta climb a mountain. I gotta rappel. I gotta go up a mountain. It's like grapple up a mountain. This is ridiculous.
Yep. Hard to tell which objectives you've done and not done. It's a pretty bad UI, to be honest. But I mean, all that kind of being said, all the multiplayer issues aside and all that, single player campaign. I mean, they took Halo and they turned it into an open world game, but it's still Halo.
Semi-open world in the middle of the game. So the beginning of the game is more linear, and the end of the game is more linear, but the middle of the game is more open, like you can Far Cry, where you gotta liberate outpost style, which I'm not that crazy about, to be honest. But I will say, I will say this: every time you liberate an outpost that's sort of directed to the storyline of the game, the next outpost next to it is something that will connect to the storyline. So it's not like you free this outpost and that's the storyline. You got to go all the way over here for the next storyline. It's like it's right next to it. So if you want, you can play it sort of linearly, and that's what I do. Yep. So the more I want to say this, the more I play, the more I love this game. I gave it a 9. On our, episode 298. If you want to hear all of my thoughts about Halo, all our thoughts about Halo, go back to listen to 298, episode 298. But I still stand by the 9. I thought maybe I would downgrade it a little bit to 8.5. Right. I'm still at a 9. I'm
gonna go ahead and revise my score right now and bump it up to a 9. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm still loving it. I was playing it all day today and yesterday, and it's only gotten better. I thought I would get bored of it and whatnot, and I'm going for that 100%, Dan. I'm clearing the island. Everything.
I don't know if you'll get it though. I don't know
I'm gonna get it. Well, I already there's a couple of things that during like the missions, quote unquote, there's some stuff that I missed already, even though I got the 2 skulls, but I missed some of the audio logs. So when I beat it, I need to go back and do cleanup, but it's only going to be a few things. I'm going to get there.
Okay.
I'm going to get there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm cranking out the achievements. I mean,
So with that said, Dave, what's your next nominee?
My number 2 is in the same vein as Deathloop, funny enough. Very, very similar game mechanic.
You love these game styles. Game styles.
All right. PS5 exclusive, and it will stay that way because Sony bought this company. They own, what's the name?
Housemarque.
They own Housemarque Studios now, which is an amazing purchase. They make amazing games. And Returnal's great. It is a... it is a live, die, repeat situation where they unveil the story little by little. So you get little like story tidbits every time you die and you come back. You get little flashes of like kind of what happened to you, like how you crash landed on this planet, which is I think awesome. And as you go through, you start uncovering like more of the story as you're trying to like get through and beat the game. And that is amazing. It's a solid shooter at its core. I like that the more you go through the game, the more things you unlock that you can get in subsequent runs. And I mean, it's beautiful. The game is beautiful. The sound design in that game is amazing. They make very good use of the DualSense controller down to the vibrations, and they use that speaker like it's part of your sound system. Right? There's all these little beeps and whatever, and it lets you know. It lets you know when your like special weapon ability is recharged. You'll hear the controller like making like a whining noise, like it's ready to go, and then you're like, all right, let's go. Special weapon ready to go. Boom. Love this game.
I will say I hate roguelikes. I love Housemarque games. In general, even though they're really tough, right? Like Resogun was really tough. I can't think of the game. What was the other game that came out for the PS4 in the same vein, the same style, sort of 2D platformer that was really tough too. I can't think of the name. It's right down the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of the name. But that was really tough.
Nex Machina, was that the one?
Yes, Nex Machina. Another tough game. I love sort of the mechanics, the art style. I just don't like the roguelike. That's why I tap out when it comes to that. Like, I love the story. The story is super interesting, but because the game is so hard and it's a rogue where you can't memorize the pattern. It's going to be totally different when you get, when you die and go back. Everything's going to be different
to a degree.
That's not something that I'm super interested in.
Okay, I will say this, and I put a lot of time into that game. I may be very poor at the game. I don't know. I think I should be further along.
What level are you on?
Well, I've gotten to the boss of the third area, so I've gotten that far. And the cool thing about it is,
when I got to the second area, and that's it.
Okay,
make it past the second area.
Well, when you get to the second area, you now are able to basically fast travel to the second area. Once you see where the portal is to get there, you can go right there. And the same with the third area, right? You get a thing, basically a grappling hook that allows you to get to the third area. So you don't have to go through area 1 to beat the boss to get the key to open up area 2 to beat the boss you can just shortcut it. And when you get to area 2 or area 3, there's always a chest that kind of gets you up to speed, right? Because there's like your weapon proficiency level. And the more you go along in the game, the better the weapons you get, because you keep kind of earning this quote unquote experience as you're going along. So you can get up to level 9 or 10 when you get to area 3. You don't have to do level 1 and 2 again. And also, a lot of all of the layouts of the rooms, there's only so many room type layouts. Now, the way they link together is you may get room type A and then room type H and then room type D and then CB. And the next time you may start off with B and then F and then Q. But when you walk into the room, you recognize the room and you go, oh, I know exactly how this room is laid out. And I know a general idea of where they would place the power-ups. So you can start zooming through the levels. I can get through all the Area 1 stuff like nobody's business because I played it so much. But that comes with time. I know. You got to live, die, repeat. So, yeah, I don't know how many hours, but I spent a lot of time in that game. So,
all right.
I love it. So what's your number 2, Dan? Getting down to the wire here.
My number 2 pick will be a game that I didn't really think anything of at first, but it is a fantastic game. It has, and by the way, all these games are fantastic. They're on the list because they're fantastic. Okay, on the Dave scale, or phenomenal on the Dan scale. I know we haven't talked about the Dan scale, but
this is the first I've heard of it.
If Dave has fantastic, I have phenomenal.
Okay.
And that is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
Nice. Good game.
It is phenomenal. It's a great game.
One of the only games on this list I haven't played.
It is a great game. I really enjoyed the story, right? Because you have the female Ratchet style, right?
Rivet. Yeah.
Rivet, I forgot her name. It's been 8 months, 6 months, 7 months I've played the game. I mean, it was in early June. I really like how they tied her in and who she is and her emotional part with another character in the game that I won't mention because I'm trying not to spoil it. I like the fact that you could go through the different time loops, right? Like the different you're going through the portal here for this dimension and this dimension. I thought the story-wise was great. Mechanics were great. Any type of Ratchet and Clank game, you're going to have 50 different type of weapon types, right? If you could get enough, sparks or whatever. I just thought this was one of the best Ratchet and Clank games ever made.
Nice.
So, and that's a high praise because the first one was really good too, right? The first 3 were really good.
Yeah, way back with the PS2, sure.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed this game, and this was a showcase of what the PS5 could do, right? This was a big showcase of what the PS5 could do. This was the first, I think, PS5 actual exclusive games that came out.
Yeah.
In 2021, right? Because every game that came out prior to this they had a PS4 version.
Right. Or it was multi-platform, yeah.
Yeah. So this game was phenomenal. So I really like this game. This game was fantastic. I like the art style, the story, the mechanics, and it had 1,000,001 different, blockbuster weapon types. So
yeah, there was a lot in that game apparently. Yeah.
So
and that's what it's kind of known for, right? It's known for the big wacky weapon arsenal.
It is. It is still a collectathon, and it's worth it if you do, because you can get the high-powered weapons.
Cool.
So before we get into our last nominees, the last two nominees, let's talk about sort of honorable mentions or runner-ups. Dave, give me your runner-up, or a game that didn't break your top 5, but an honorable mention here because it deserves to be an honorable mention.
It is the 5th entry in the 2D saga of the Metroid franchise. That is Metroid Dread. And now, I'm going to preface this. I love this game, but the reason it's not in the top 5 for me is because it lacked a story. And if you're going to tie all these things together, and they do get tied together, it does have a narrative that kind of follows up, but it's all just environmental storytelling for the most part. And there's like a couple of cutscenes that there's really 3 cutscenes at the beginning, the middle, and the end. And that's really about it. I wish they had more of a story. I wish they kind of explained a little bit more. Or like environmentally told you, like, oh, this is how this came to be. This is how this, area came about. This is why this character is in the game. Like, you just don't know. You're just on this thing. Here's the villain. I'm going to go kill this villain. Gameplay was super tight. Don't get me wrong. It was amazing. I love the new power-ups and all that, but it was lacking a strong narrative, but that's kind of Nintendo's jam. But yeah, so that's why it doesn't make. That's why it didn't make the number
the top 5. Your top 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's almost though. Very, very close. Very close.
I would say my runner-up, right? Honorable mention would go to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This game actually surprised me. I didn't think this game would be as good as it is. I love this game. I beat this game, but I earned everything in the game, if that makes sense. Like, I think this game narratively, it won Best Narrative Game for the Game Awards, and I thought the narrative was phenomenal, but it lasted too long. 2 hours too long, right? Like, it was just too long. It had too much goodness in it. Sometimes you can have too much goodness. Sometimes you need to scale it back just a little bit. Sure. Right? I found myself, when I was playing this game, like, oh my God, we're not done yet? We're not done yet? Like, I really wanted to be done with this game.
Right.
At some point.
I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying.
I like the part
want a nice tight narrative, right?
I get the part where the end, it wasn't really the end. And then it was like more, it was more on top of more stuff that was like, oh my God, is that ended yet? I still got another 2 hours or an hour to play because they had a false ending. It had 2 false endings. I will say that. It had 2 false endings.
Spoilers.
I mean, you can end it technically.
Oh, okay. You have an option to
if you want it.
So that's on you, Dan. That's on you. You extended the game because you made the wrong choice.
Come on.
They gave you player agency, and you chose the wrong answer. You said no.
Come on.
I need more. I need more Guardians.
Come on. Yeah. Because I want to know how it really ends, not the 2 false endings that you could end the game with. Technically, if you wanted to, you could say, "This is my ending, and I don't care," and walk away. But I said, "No. This is that's impossible. It can't end like this, right?" And it had, again, like Fallout, and always go to Fallout because people act like Fallout is this game that's the most phenomenal, fantastic.
It is
scale.
It is
game where this game where,
one and
Fallout
2,
4 Fallout 4 had plenty of bugs, plenty of
bugs.
Oh
yeah, no. Fallout 4 had a lot of issues. Yeah.
Fallout 4 had Assassin's Creed issues.
It sure did.
And people put this game on a pedestal like it's you. And we talked about it when we first started the show. I think that's one of the games that really we took and we criticized gaming media.
Yep.
Because remember, I think it was not Giant Bomb criticized the game, and I think Red Rooster.
Rooster Teeth.
Rooster Teeth.
Yep.
Red Rooster. I knew it was the Rooster. I haven't watched him in a while.
That was a story from like 2016, 2017.
Yeah. They had Pit Boys. They had Pit Boys in their arm because they obviously was sponsored.
Yeah, the special edition Pit Boys out there. Say, hey, this game is great. We love this
game. There's no issues with this game whatsoever. What is Jeff Keighley? Not Jeff Keighley. Gertzman. What is Gertzman talking about? Right?
He's just being critical about it, and he had good. He had a good take on it, right? He wasn't wrong, and he backed it up. You can be critical of something, but as long as you're honest about it, and you have evidence to back it up, and he did. It's like, look, here's all the problems with this game.
So I'll tell you, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, I had to restart like 3 times because I got stuck somewhere because it was a glitch in the game. Little glitch in the game. And I got to be honest, the glitches in the game is what put me over where it didn't make my top 5. So it was number 6 on the list of my personal top 10.
Fair enough.
Dave, we've kept people in suspense long enough. What is your last nomination?
Number 1. Now, it's fair to mention too that these are in no particular order. These are just our 5. All right, these are our top 5. But the final nominee on my list is Numero uno is the Joseph Fares new classic, It Takes Two. All right, in the vein of Brothers and A Way Out, and now It Takes Two. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the show. We played this game to completion in co-op mode. And,
it surprised me too. I think it was a surprising year. Yeah.
Right. I didn't think it was going to be. I thought it was going to be fun. It was going to be like A Way Out, which we also played together. We had a fun time with. But this was even better. I mean, they kept switching it up on the different. Like every stage was a new ability and a new type of game, and they had Street Fighter. You could do Street Fighter. It was a Street Fighter fighting game in there. There was like where you would there were like dog fight. There was an RPG element. You could do dog fighting, and like every level would you get a new ability. You get a nail gun or a stapler or like a honey goo gun.
I know, but for you, it was funny because, like, for you, it was like Street Fighter, right? Because you had the fighting portion.
That's right.
I had to fly the plane. Like I was like,
and I was fighting on the back of it. Yeah. And you can even do like Hadoukens and fireballs too. Like they really went the extra mile.
But for you, it was a fighting game. For me, it was a flight simulator because I had to actually fly the plane.
Yeah. Oh,
I had to actually fly the plane. It was like, and I hate flight simulator games. So I was like Tom Clancy's Hawk. Like I'm like sitting here flying.
Yep. Oh, and
you're like, keep it straight.
That's right. I'm trying to do fireballs over here, and they're going all over the place. You got to keep that thing nice and level. So that was awesome.
The game was awesome, and it had rupees like Zelda in one of the chapters.
We were breaking all the pots. I'm like, I wonder if, and lo and behold, there was a room with a bunch of pots you could break. Not to mention, like, the story, super tight. It's all about family who's getting divorced.
Teamwork, though. We had to have teamwork to beat the game.
Teamwork is what the whole game is about.
We needed chemistry. We needed chemistry.
You have to repair your marriage. That's the whole entire game, and you do it. Well, I'm not going to tell you how it all goes down, but you have to work together, in cooperation, to beat the game. And
we're a great married couple, Dave.
I know.
We're a great married. We're a great married couple.
We work well together.
That's it.
So that's my last game. What is your numero uno? What's your last pick?
If you would have asked me at the start of the year, would you think this game would break your top, games of the year? I would have said, no way, no, hell no, no way. But it surprised me. again, this was a year. If I had to categorize, if I had to like put a capsule in this year, one word, surprise. I was surprised this year. It Takes Two surprised me. Deathloop surprised me. Forza Horizon 5 surprised me.
Yeah.
Right? Ratchet and Clank surprised me. Guilty Gear surprised me.
A lot of surprises this year.
And Psychonauts 2 surprised me.
Yep. The game that went through development hell, in a way.
My pick will be Psychonauts 2. The Xbox version, not the PS4 version, because the PS4 version was choppy.
You have to put the best one up, right? You got to put the best one up.
Mm-hmm. This game, from a visual standpoint, was phenomenal. From a story standpoint, surprised the hell out of me. Like, the story was so engaging, and it kept giving me, every time I went here, it took me here, right? Like the loops and it's just the curveballs that hit me with, and the gameplay, right? Like, I played Psychonauts 1. I have it on the original Xbox, and I thought it was cool. And I have the remake on the PS4 that came out for a limited run, and I have the VR version for the PSVR, right? The Rumpus Room something.
The Rhombus of Ruin. Close enough.
Yeah. I was close. Close. Yeah. Right, which was sort of like it tells you the story after the original one, right?
Right. Kind of links 1 and 2 together, yeah.
And then the second one came out. I was totally blown away by every element of this game. And I really fell in love with this game, and I was so happy that you got a chance to play it because you have Games Pass too. Phil Spencer, if you're listening, physical copy, please, because I love this game so much. It needs a physical.
They own a Double Fine now, and you have tons of money. Listen, you just bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion. Just produce some physical copies. Come on now.
Yeah, listen
to Dan here.
Easy $60. Take my money. Right. I want to give you my money. I'm giving you $60. Just take it. I want a physical, please. I think this was, and you can see where the Xbox money polished this game a lot. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, they said point blank when they like bought them out. They said take as long as you need, unlimited funds. Just when you're ready to put this game out, we'll put this game out.
So again. Story, visuals, sound, and I'm gonna double dip here. Story again, the swerve at the end.
Sure,
phenomenal.
Sure,
love this game.
Yeah, I agree with every sentiment, 100%. Solid game, solid pick, and yeah. That's it. That's our 10, 5 and 5.
Yep. Well, to recap, we got Resident Evil Village, Guilty Gear Strive. Forza Horizon 5, right? Life is Strange, True Colors, Deathloop, Halo Infinite, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Psychonauts 2, and It Takes Two.
It's a strong list, man. It's a good year for video games. I was a good year. I was very happy to close out 2021. Lots of good stuff. And we're not going to tell you the winner now. That comes in episode 300 in the new year. So you guys gotta sit tight for that.